All right, ladies. So this is Alex from mindforattraction.org, and today the last video we're going to be talking about is 7 signs that you don't love yourself. The last video was 5 reasons why you don't love yourself. This one is about the signs. These are things that you should definitely look out for. These are things that if you see in yourself, there's a possibility that you have a lot of self-hatred, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that means that once you find out that you hate yourself, then you can finally learn how to love yourself. You know, you first find out that you stink before you take a shower. All right. So this is that's gonna be what we're talking about. Now, how does this relate to dating? This relates to dating because if you have a lot of self-hatred and you don't know it, you can always attribute a lot of the problems to your partner. People are gonna feel the pain you feel. People are gonna feel the pain that you're supposed to be feeling because you're externalizing it. When you don't love yourself and you don't recognize it, then you're just putting that pain on other people, and they're experiencing it. You see, and then what's gonna happen is kind of like a virus where they'll feel that pain and they'll also do the same shit you're doing and give it and externalize it. I think it's called countertransference, and put it on somebody else. It becomes a virus that permeates people's minds. I'm telling you, this is what's been happening throughout the years throughout humanity, right? And so let's first recognize 5 signs that you don't love yourself, right? So let's get started. Okay, I think. All right, let me put this last one in case I forget. Okay, all right. So the first one, you criticize others too much. If you notice that you're always criticizing, oh, look at that, like, fuck her, fuck that bitch, she ain't cuter than me. Oh, look at her, looking all skimpy with those high heels. What doesn't she know? That's not a real lady. That's not how a real lady should be. Look at those sluts. Who they think they are? Skanky little hoes. Like, when you judge others, if you notice that you judge others consistently, even though if you feel self-righteous, even though if you think you're right, the mere act of criticizing others is a mental habit. It's kind of like, let me give you an example. It's kind of like someone who, okay, the way you talk to others is how you talk to yourself. Like there is a big similarity. You see, the way I'm talking to you guys, how I talk to myself. And so when you see someone that criticizes others consistently, if you really look inside their minds, they're saying the same things they're saying, but to themselves. The thing is that because they're saying the same things to themselves, they don't know any other things to say. You see, the way they compliment you is through criticizing you. And so what you have to do then, if you notice yourself criticizing other people, and you notice that you just always happen to look at the bad, and people always telling you, yo, bro, yo, girl, why you always criticizing? Why you always like, that's a sign that you don't love yourself. That must be, because a lot of times, rather than feeling and seeing what's inside of us, what we tends to happen is that we see what's inside, and rather than recognize it, we externalize it, and we say, nope, I'm not the one who's happy. It's because of them. You see, and so you start saying, oh, they suck, or look at them, like look at those skinky little girls. You see, so if you notice you criticize yourself, that you criticize others a lot, that means that you have no self-love for yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. The first step is to first observe yourself doing that. The second thing, you're always waiting for something to make you happy. A lot of times we think that things will make us happy. And this is very unconscious. For example, like, think of a goal that you're working towards. Just think of any goal that you're working towards. If you really look inside, there is a outcome, an image of you achieving the goal. You know, like, there's an image of you like triumphing, like in a triumph, right? And so it's not, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes when you go for a goal, you're just trying to love yourself. You're just trying to find a reason to say, okay, I am worthy. Oh, okay, see, my parents were wrong. Oh, okay, I am someone in this world. And so, yeah, it's one thing to do it because you have ambition and you want to be someone in life. Nothing wrong with that. But what I'm telling you is to observe your motivation. Notice if you're doing it to be happy. Notice if the outcome in mind means everlasting happiness. You know, like, I'm telling you because this happened to me. This happened to me. So it's gonna happen to you. Notice if you're noticing that once you succeed in outcome, you're gonna say to yourself, once I do this, I'm gonna finally be happy. Finally, I'm gonna have a good job. And that's because the image you have of yourself is not enough. The image that you have is like, I don't like this image. So you know what? Let me work towards a goal that has external evidence of an outcome. You see, that says that I am successful because I see pictures and I see people with the same thing and they look happy and they look better and they look like they love themselves. Let me work towards that, and maybe I could be happy, and maybe I can actually accept myself. I can accept myself through other people accepting me. And so if you're noticing that that's your motivating factor, then that's a sign that you don't love yourself. And again, there's nothing wrong with that because we all have it. We all have it to an extent. You see, the thing is, are you aware of it? Because if you're not aware of it, then you cannot work on it. 3, you feel incomplete. Again, this happens a lot with depression. How incompleteness doesn't just mean you want a partner. Incompleteness means, let me read another book, or let me go buy some shoes, or let me do this so I can fulfill my happiness. Let me do that so I can feel happy. Like, do you notice the incomplete feeling you have whenever you feel like something's missing? You see, like something's missing, and so we try to fulfill that missing part with things. You see, and so when you feel like you're incomplete, that's a sign that you don't love yourself. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. You have to recognize it, because if you don't recognize it, then what's going to happen is that you're going to begin to try to find completion in things. Okay, I'm not complete. All right, let me maybe buy this if I'm not complete. Let me buy and see how I feel. Oh, fuck, I don't feel happy. Shit. You see, it's kind of like who you are is not enough. You need more additions. You see, you need more features. When in reality, those features will not add on to the fun, to the substance of who you are. Because by trying to fulfill yourself with things, those things that you're trying to fulfill yourself, in and of itself, is the same. The things that you're trying to fulfill yourself are made out of the things that you are. For example, you're saying, I want someone to make me happy. And if I find someone, I'm going to be happy. You see? And so you feel like there's a lack. And in reality, there's no lack. Why? Because the lack that you feel is not that you're missing something, but that you're not recognizing what's there. Now, you're not recognizing what's there, not because it's not there, but because you are being distracted by something. What's that distraction? The surface level of reality. What's the surface level? The surface level is the manifestation of your consciousness. For example, when I'm in a dream, when I'm in deep sleep, there's no objects, right? When you're in deep sleep, you're like, there's just blankness, and then you go from deep sleep to REM sleep, where you start seeing objects, right? And then from REM sleep, you wake up, and then you're in the outside world. So in reality, the dream is made out of what? Your consciousness, which is your dream is made out of, is animated by your consciousness, but expressed through your faculties of your brain. So what you're seeing is not really, how can I say, is art. They're not really things, but is more of an expression of who you are. So it also equates the same thing with the outside world. You think you're seeing an object, but in reality, this is just photons communicating, going inside your brain, and your brain is generating this. Where if you didn't have the faculties to process this wouldn't exist for you. Even though you can't see it, then you might say, how about if I touch it? Okay, you touch it, then what's gonna happen? You're fucking sensing it. You sense this in your field of awareness, in your consciousness. It's being computed by your brain as a sensory object, and so as a result, it's being self-generated, because what tends to happen is that sometimes you lose feeling, right? Sometimes you cannot feel things because maybe you hurt yourself, or you hurt your spine, and so you lose feeling. You see? So even though now, let's say you're blind and you can't see it, and suddenly you try to touch it and it's not there no more. Why? Because it's not being self-generated anymore. You don't have the faculties. But the potential is, if the structure of the brain, which is how consciousness expresses itself, is fixed. But the potential is there. In other words, what's really important is it hasn't been messed with, the animating force. So how am I coming? I'm going out of subject right now, right? But what I'm saying is that you feel incomplete because you are misunderstanding the true nature of reality, which is everything that you see is you. So that feeling of emptiness is a misconception of this is outside myself. But as soon as you observe the emptiness and you just notice it as an object of your awareness, right? And you just see it and accept it for what it is, suddenly you don't feel incomplete. But the incompleteness is created by your brain. Because when you're in deep sleep, you don't feel incomplete. But as soon as you wake up, you feel incomplete. You know, it's kind of like when somebody breaks up with you, you go to sleep, you feel good. You wake up, you miss them. So what's missing really? What's creating the missing? The brain. So the way you disidentify from your brain is just observe your brain creating all of those things. But by recognizing that everything that happens is an expression of your is an expression of your consciousness. You see, so you have everything you need. You just think you don't have it. So what you have to do is become more present. You see, notice your breath. You see, feel your body. Ask yourself, what's going on inside of me? And just bring your awareness on the inside. And any objects that arises, observe it. You see, because whenever you're feeling complete, that's a lack of self-love. And lack of self-love is not that you love yourself, but that you're not seeing the complete essence of who you are, which is consciousness that doesn't need things to complete itself. Sorry, I went deep on that one. Sorry about that. I'm trying to be as simple as possible. Number 4, you're starving for love. The feeling of love is addictive. I know how it is. You love someone and then you feel like, oh man, that was good. I want that shit again. If you notice that you're starving, you're like, oh my God, I just want that feeling again. Now, once again, that means you're feeling complete. That means you're trying to fit a puzzle. You're trying to fit a puzzle piece that doesn't belong there. You see? So if you're starving for love, if you're looking for love, if you're looking for a partner to fulfill your loneliness, that means that you don't love yourself. That you're trying to love yourself vicariously through other people. Saying, please, I want to love myself. Tell me that you love me. Tell me that you love me. Why can't you just love yourself? They are the same person who you are. The only difference is their brain, which in reality is just made out of the same atoms that makes you. Made out of the same electrons, made out of the same quarks, photons, all that shit. Made out of the same shit, made out of the same strings that go in and out of existence. In the Higgs boson, some shit like that, I don't know. You see? So if you're starving for love, if you notice that you just want the feeling of love, then that just means you just want to love yourself. And that's self-sabotaging you because that causes you to get needy. Number 5, constantly trying to distract yourself. If you notice that you're consistently looking for never-ending stimulation, let me buy this, let me buy that. If you notice that you keep having a lot of shit in your closet with the tags, you know what I'm talking about. If you notice that you always need to be distracted, which is I always need to have fun. Like you don't know how to be still. You don't know how to be still. For example, this happens to me. I don't know how to just sit down and just be here. Like, just like I'm really struggling with just not doing nothing and just reading. That's what I'm really struggling with that. And so if you're noticing that you're doing that you're always seeking a distraction, then that means there's a lack of self-love. Now, I was talking to a girl yesterday and she told me that she's from the woods, right? And she doesn't mind being in the woods, but when she's at work, when she's in New York City, she doesn't like it because of the distraction, because of too much shit. And that's the same thing that happens with people from New York City. When people in New York City go to the woods, they don't like it because it feels uncomfortable. So just because you like being in the woods doesn't mean that you're more enlightened, because as soon as you come to the city, you feel the same shit we feel, but in the woods. So in reality, this constant distraction is more because you feel uncomfortable. You look at something, you're like, you know what? I don't like that. Let me try to distract myself. Remember what I said in the last video about compartmentalizing yourself? So if you're noticing that you're trying to distract yourself through either stimulation, putting other people down so that you can feel better about yourself, trying to take drugs so you can feel good and elevate your mood, you see? Then that means you have a lack of self-love. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. We all go through it, but there's something you have to recognize, you know? You're constantly trying to make other people happy. If you notice that you go out of your way to make people happy at your own expense, that's the big part. It's not that you try to make people happy, but when you try to make people happy at your own expense. For example, it's kind of like being at work. Working, you know you have a deadline, and then I come and say, hey, can you help me with my work? And you know you have a deadline, but because you don't want to say no and you want to please me, you fuck yourself over and you help me out. Then you get screwed over and you get mad and you say, fuck. You see, I should have never helped them out. You grow resentful, you hate yourself, but you hate me, but you don't recognize that it was your fault. So it's one thing to give, but it's the one thing to give to the point where you have nothing else, where you're left with nothing. You see. So if you're noticing that you're always trying to make people happy, you're trying to please them, that's because you just need your own validation. That's because you need someone to tell you that you are worth something. And that's a problem, and that really goes down to when everyone was a little kid. You know, when you were a child, maybe you didn't get the validation you needed. But the thing you have to understand is that validation doesn't make you happy. Validation doesn't make yourself love you, because that same validation can turn around and judge you. It's kind of like being in sports. If you're an athlete and you rely on positive things that announcers say about you, what happens when they talk shit and they tell you that you're a horrible player? What happens when they tell you that you always choke in the NBA finals? What happens when they tell you that you can't shoot free throws? What happens when they tell you that you choked against the Mavericks? What are you gonna do? You're gonna take it for seriously because you held on to when they say you are the GOAT, you are King James, you are the greatest, and you're like, I am the greatest. You see, and so because you took that, simply because you accepted that gift of compliment, whenever they turn around and turn against you and say that you suck and that you're horrible, right? It's gonna hurt. And you're gonna try to act like you don't care, but you care simply because you care when they say good things about you. That's not how life works. If you can accept the good, you better accept the bad. If you can accept the compliments, you better accept when people tell you that you're getting older. If you're gonna, so that's why right now, it's not that I don't care what people tell me about the compliments that I get on YouTube and all that sort of stuff, but that I don't take it too seriously. Yeah, thank you. Best video you ever saw. Thank you so much. Thank you. Cool. Thank you. But I'm not gonna be like, oh, this is the best video you saw, huh? Oh, yes, because I'm amazing. Yes, I go to sleep. Oh my God, I'm so amazing. Oh, and so your brain begins to create an identity. Your brain starts saying, yeah, you are amazing, Alex. You are amazing. You are amazing, and it begins to create a neural pathway of someone who's amazing. You see? And as soon as somebody tells you suck, it's like your brain is saying, wait a minute, this is not right. This is not the input that I kept getting. What? Somebody better tell me that I'm good. And so you get frustrated and you get angry. And see, and that anger is more of the feeling that you were trying to hide. And so you know what's going to happen? You're going to get mad at that person, externalize it, when in reality, that feeling is that feeling you have about yourself. And you never really get to the root of the problem because you keep looking on the outside. Number 7, you constantly feel that the world owes you something. When you feel like the world is unfair, that means you think that that means you have an expectation for the world. The world owes you nothing. Don't expect anything from the world. Anything. Don't expect honesty. Don't expect integrity. Expect nothing so that when you get anything, it feels like everything. That was good. Somebody put that in a quote. No, I'm kidding. By the way, if anyone's taking notes on this video, let me know. Somebody actually, there's a little distraction. I might have to. I gotta give a shout out to this girl who sent me notes. 1 second. I gotta give a shout out to her because she was amazing and awesome for doing that for me, and I really appreciate her for writing these notes down for me. What's her name? Her name was 1 second. Damn, what was her name? She was so nice for sending me that. Her name was Brit. Was it? No, that wasn't it. 1 second. Cause you have to say thank you for those people who wrote those notes for you. You know what? I'm gonna write it on the comments. She knows who she is. So who you are, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. All right. Okay. So let's get back to the video. All right. Now I'm just being stubborn. Now I'm like, I need to fucking find her. I'm gonna get pissed. Okay, I know who she is. Her name was Frances. Thank you very much, Frances. Okay, all right. So yeah, you're feeling that the world owes you, and that's because you're doing something to get in return. Anytime you do something to get in return, even though you're trying to convince yourself that you're doing it because you're just being nice, you're always gonna be disappointed. For example, it's kind of like when I teach pickup to guys. A lot of guys, they're going to approach a girl and they say, Alexis, I'm going to approach her and I'm not going to care about the outcome. They try to convince themselves they don't. But their emotional reactions doesn't say the same story. You could say one thing, but the reaction is totally different. It's kind of like girls saying, your tactics would never work on me, right? And then I use it on them and they were like, okay, they work. You see, they never see it coming because it's subtle. It's a subtle thing. But generally speaking, though, the world owes you nothing. You see, and so the Bhagavad Gita says we are entitled to the labor, but not the fruits of our labor. You see, and that's a recipe for failure. Expecting anything from people is a recipe for failure. Because people are inconsistent. People try to help themselves and they can't even help themselves. How the fuck you think they're going to help you? You got to have compassion for people, man. This world is full of suffering. And there's no wonder there's people so full of are self-interested because they suffer so much. They suffer. It breaks, seriously, man, like, it breaks my heart, man. Seeing so much, like, I don't know how the fuck most of these people just deal, like, I struggle sometimes not thinking about it. like just the amount of suffering there is in this world. Like I really do. Like even with the amount of success that I'm getting, some part of me struggles with appreciating it. Now, I think another part of me says, you know what? If people who are not successful and they see you not appreciating this, they'll be pissed off at you. So I'm like, you know what? Let me appreciate this. And let me count my blessings. All right. Number 8, wanting more. That's the last one. When you consistently need more. Oh man, that just means that you're just saying, man, I don't have enough to give to myself. Let me try to find superficial ways to be happy. That's why that's why it's like a lot of rich people who are greedy and who steal money from the poor. I'm not mad at them. I'm like, damn, you're just gonna be more unhappy. Like successful people, nothing's worse than achieving something and then realizing that you're not happy. It takes you deeper into unhappiness. And you know what? It's crazy. It makes you even more hungrier for that unhappiness. And you realize that it didn't work, but your mind is very optimistic. It says, you know what? Maybe next time. Try it again. And you lie and you deceive yourself because you're just so desperate for happiness. It is something that a lot of people die and they never really find out that that's the reason why they're happy. They're unhappy because they just want more. They want more and more and more. And that wanting more is more of a desire to just be happy. They're willing to pay any price. Thousands of dollars on cars, thousands of dollars on women, thousands of dollars on clothes, just for happiness. Why don't you get it for free? It's available inside of you. Stop looking on the outside. I know giving money out is easy when you have the money. Look inside. Don't pay money. Just look inside. Sometimes there's research. When there's a lack of resources, when a company lacks resources, it usually has innovation because somewhere they have to overcompensate. Somewhere. You know, that's one of those things, man. If you don't love yourself, these are the 5 signs. Criticizing people too much. You're always waiting for something to make you happy. You feel incomplete. You're starving for love. Consistently trying to distract yourself. You're constantly trying to make other people happy. You constantly feel that the world owes you something. And you always want more. You have those 8 signs, and that just means that you just don't love yourself. Now, how do you love yourself? You just have to notice. Again, look, I know I keep repeating the same shit, but you just have to first notice these signs. Notice yourself hating yourself. Notice anytime you're trying to avoid thinking of a certain thought or feeling a certain emotion, just notice it. Just notice it, you see? And become hungry as to what it is to love yourself. You know, read the books by Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. On the book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. All of those books are good guide and are good ways to find out on how to be happy. But mind you, they are not the terrain. They're just the map. You see, they're not the terrain. They're just the map. They don't reflect the reality. They just guide you towards that. It's kind of like a stop sign, kind of like a dead end sign. A dead end sign in traffic is not the dead end. It's just a sign towards a dead end. The dead end is different. It's more of an experience rather than a concept. The concept, dead end, signpost, which is in this case, the signs that you're unhappy. Now, to actually fix it, you have to go there, which is in this case, rather than going to the dead end, which is experiencing it, feeling the unhappiness, noticing when you're unhappy, right? And just having compassion for your body and genuinely look at your body like it's really struggling, like a kid who's trying hard and is trying to please his parents, and it comes to his parents feeling disappointed and expecting its parent to talk shit about them and saying this is why you suck, but then you have a compassion and saying, you know what, it's cool. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to help me out, man. I accept you. Don't worry about it, man. You're cool, man. You're cool. I know it's not easy, but it's cool. You know? Treat your body like it's a little kid and have compassion, all right? Anyways, this is Alex from mindfulattraction.org. I hope you guys have a good day, and bye-bye. By the way, I like this mic. This is a new mic that I have. I may sell my Blue Yeti mic because they're too fucking big, man. Too fucking big. And I like it, but it's too fucking big. Too big. This is a new mic that I have. It's crazy because you'll see because I don't want. Okay. Close your ears. There you go. It's a Zoom mic, right? And the reason why I bought this is because I'm gonna be able to do my podcast when I'm not home. And because I could actually take this anywhere, that means I can make my podcast anywhere. And I don't need a lot of storage. I don't need a lot of things. It's set up. I just need this, my notes, and that's it. So you guys are gonna be getting my podcast this weekend. Okay, I'm gonna send you the link to how to on how to find my podcast. It's gonna be maybe on Saturday or Sunday. You guys are gonna get it. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye bye.